Hello, today we're talking about our presentation for our fault detection system implementing using FPGA coded with Verilog. So our system behaves as a relay in a substation where it sees a fault, it trips a breaker, and at the end, if there is still a fault, it will trip another breaker and go to the transformer.
Our fault detector finds faults by comparing the length of a pulse signal. The pulse signal is sent to the FPGA where it is then synced with the clock and generates a new pulse called pulse 1. We measure pulse 1 by generating a similar signal, pulse 2, that is one clock cycle behind. Our counter, value 1, counts until there's a change in pulse 1 and pulse 2. This drop off here is our cutoff for the length of our pulse. At the end of our pulse length, value 1 is passed to value 2, and value 1 resumes counting the length of the pulse. This value 2 is then compared to our parameters to determine whether there's a fault or not. If the value 2 is over our measurement, it sends a fault. If it is under, then no fault is sent. Here, fuse sends a 0 or 1 signal to signify whether we have a fault or not.
Alright, and the second part of our code behaves as a Moore machine where we have 4 states. Each state has its own output result. The flow between states depends on the fault, where the system checks the fault. If there is a fault, it moves from a state to another. Each state has, as I said before, has its different outputs. Depending on if there's a fault or no, it goes to the next state or stays the same state. So our main state is 1001, where we have 1 for the main, 0 for the secondary, 0 emergency, and a 1 for the transformer. As we see here, the transformer is always on, except for the last state where it trips. So the process starts with the main state going to the secondary state, and from secondary state, if there is still a fault, we go to the emergency state. If the fault stays there, this is the last state where we trips everything. So main is 0, secondary is 0, emergency is 0, even transformer is 0. So we programmed our FPGA and also we connected to the function generator to be able to generate a signal. And depending on this signal, the system will check if there is a fault or no fault. So after connecting it, we will end up getting the main state as you see here. Main is on, secondary is off, emergency is off, and transformer is on. And we connected using a pulse signal, but due to the conflict between the clock of the FPGA and the frequency and the period of the function generator, we will not be able to get a signal as expected, similar to the simulation. Also because we don't have an AC DC converter, we will not be able to have a signal to check for a fault other than the pulse of signal we have. Thank you.